If you've ever felt slightly out of place in crowded rooms, preferring the calm company of 2 or 3 trusted faces over a sea of shallow smiles, this might speak directly to you. Maybe you've been told you're too quiet, too selective, or not social enough. Maybe you've wondered if something about your way of connecting with people is somehow wrong or incomplete. But what if the opposite is true? What if your natural tendency to keep few friends and nurture deep bonds isn't a limitation at all, but a quiet social superpower that most people never develop? This isn't a diagnosis. This isn't about labeling who you are or putting you in a box. This is simply an invitation to observe your own patterns, the way your body moves through social spaces, the way your mind chooses where to invest emotional energy, and the silent strength hidden in your selective way of loving. You might recognize yourself in small details, the way your shoulders tense in large gatherings, how your voice softens only around certain people, or how you instinctively protect your inner world from those who haven't earned access to it. If any part of this behavior seems familiar to you, share it in the comments. This is a quiet space to recognize yourself and better understand your own superpowers. The subtle way of keeping little eye contact in crowded, noisy spaces. You walk into a party, a work event, or a family gathering where everyone seems to be talking at once. Your eyes don't scan the room looking for someone new to meet. Instead, they lower slightly or fix on a distant point, a window, a wall, a drink in your hand. It's not shyness exactly. It's more like your body instinctively knows that holding eye contact with strangers in chaotic environments drains something essential from you. Your nervous system quietly says, "Not here. Not now. Not with everyone." This isn't avoidance. It's selection. Your gaze is a resource you don't waste on people who won't remember your name tomorrow. While others are collecting surface-level connections like business cards, your eyes are saving their full attention for moments that actually matter. You might look away during small talk, but when someone you trust speaks, your gaze locks in completely. This selective eye contact isn't coldness. It's preservation. Your body has learned that depth requires focus, and focus requires protection from the noise. Most people never realize they're scattering their attention everywhere. You've quietly mastered the art of aiming yours only where it counts. What others call unfriendly might actually be your body's way of honoring the few connections that deserve your full presence. Your eyes don't wander because they're waiting for the right person, the right moment, the right silence. And when that moment comes, the people who receive your full gaze know they've been given something rare, something most people give to everyone and therefore to no one. Your superpower isn't in how many people you look at. It's in how deeply you see the ones you choose. How the body naturally creates space around itself to preserve relational energy. You've probably noticed this without naming it in a crowded bus, a packed waiting room, or a busy café. Your body finds ways to carve out invisible boundaries. You sit with your bag on the chair beside you. You angle your shoulders slightly away from strangers. You create a small buffer zone, even when space is limited. It's not rudeness. It's not arrogance. It's your body instinctively protecting the energy you'll need later for the people who actually matter to you. While others seem comfortable bumping elbows with anyone, your system knows that closeness isn't something you offer casually. Physical space mirrors emotional space you guard both carefully. In social settings, this shows up in subtle ways. You don't rush to fill every seat at the table. You don't stand too close during group photos. You position yourself near exits Edges, corners, places where you can breathe without feeling surrounded. People might interpret this as distance, but it's actually the opposite. You're saving your capacity for intimacy by not spending it on proximity that means nothing. Your body has learned something most people never figure out. Being near everyone leaves you available to no one. So you create space first, and only then do you invite someone in. This invisible boundary isn't a wall, it's a filter. It quietly asks, do you belong in my inner circle, or are you just passing through? And the few people who make it past that space, the ones who earn closeness without demanding it, they receive a version of you that's rested, present, and fully there. Your superpower isn't in letting everyone in. It's in protecting the quality of what you give to those who stay. The instinctive preference for calm conversations in discreet corners of the room. While everyone else gravitates toward the center of the party, the loudest table, or the group taking photos, you find yourself drawn to the quieter edges. A corner near the kitchen, a chair slightly removed from the main conversation, a spot by the window where the music doesn't quite reach. It's not that you're hiding. It's that your mind works better when the volume around you drops. Your body feels safer when there's a wall behind you and fewer eyes scanning in your direction. In these quiet corners, something shifts. Your voice finds its natural rhythm. Your thoughts organize themselves. You stop performing and start existing. This is where your real conversations happen, not the ones about weather or work, but the ones about fears, dreams, contradictions, things people don't usually say out loud. You don't do well with surface chatter in bright, crowded spaces, but in a dim corner with one person who listens, you become unexpectedly eloquent. People who only see you in large groups think you're reserved. People who've sat with you in those corners know the truth. You're not quiet, you're selective about when to speak. Your body has learned that meaningful connection doesn't happen in noise. It happens in pockets of calm where two people can actually hear each other breathe. This preference isn't weakness, itegate es wisdom, while others exhaust themselves shouting over music and competing for attention. You're building the kind of conversation that people remember years later. The corner isn't where you retreat from the world. It's where you meet it honestly, one person at a time, without distraction or pretense. Your superpower isn't in commanding the room. It's in creating small sanctuaries where real intimacy becomes possible. If you've already noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right, this seems like me. It helps this video reach more people who think and feel in similar ways. The way your shoulders relax only around familiar, trusted faces. There's a tension you carry in your body that you don't always notice until it's gone. Your shoulders sit slightly higher when you're around strangers, acquaintances, or people you haven't decided about yet. It's subtle, but it's there. Then someone you trust walks into the room, a close friend, a sibling who knows you, someone whose presence doesn't require explanation or performance, and your shoulders drop. Juste a little. Just enough that your breath finds its way deeper into your chest. This isn't something you do on purpose. Your body decides who's safe long before your mind finishes analyzing. Round most people, you hold yourself in a kind of quiet readiness, not defensive, exactly, but not fully relaxed either. But around the few people who've earned your trust, that readiness dissolves. Your posture softens, your jaw unclenches. You stop monitoring how you're being perceived because you know you're already accepted. Most people never notice this in themselves. But if you pay attention, you'll see it clearly. Your body keeps score of who deserves your ease and who doesn't. This selective relaxation isn't coldness. It's discernment. Your nervous system has learned that not everyone has earned access to your unguarded self. The people who make your shoulders drop, they've passed a test they didn't know they were taking. They've proven, through consistency and care, that they won't use your openness against you. Your superpower isn't in being open with everyone. It's in knowing exactly who deserves the version of you that breathes freely. How your gaze deepens automatically during dialogues with true friends. When you talk to most people, your eyes participate politely. They make the socially appropriate amount of contact. They nod along. They do what's expected. But there's a certain flatness to it, like you're looking at someone without really seeing them. Then you sit down with a real friend, someone who knows your history, your contradictions, your unspoken fears, and something changes. Your gaze stops being polite and becomes present. You're not just looking anymore. You're reading. You're listening with your eyes. You're catching the things they're not saying out loud. In these moments, your attention doesn't wander to your phone, to the people walking by, or to the thoughts waiting in the back of your mind. Everything narrows to the person in front of you. This depth of focus isn't something you can fake or force. It only happens when your body recognizes someone as worth the full weight of your presence. Most people spread their attention thin across dozens of shallow interactions. You've learned to pour yours completely into the few conversations that actually feed you. This kind of gaze steady, unhurried, fully invested is something people feel even if they can't name it. It tells them you matter. What you're saying matters. I'm not going anywhere. And that, quietly, is one of the rarest gifts you can give someone in a world where everyone is half listening while mentally composing their next sentence. Your superpower isn't in how many people you pay attention to. It's in the quality of presence you bring to the ones you love. The silent way the body rejects crowded parties to embrace intimate gatherings. You've probably felt it before the event even starts. Someone invites you to a party, 50 people, loud music, everyone mingling and laughing in clusters you'd have to break into, and something in your chest tightens. Not anxiety, exactly, more like quiet resistance. Your body already knows this won't feed you. It will drain you. So you find a reason to leave early, or you don't go at all. But then someone suggests coffee with just 1 or 2 people, a quiet dinner, a walk with no agenda, and suddenly your energy shifts. Your body says yes before your mind finishes deciding. This isn't about being antisocial. It's about knowing the difference between connection and noise. Big parties ask you to be on, to perform, to circulate, to make small talk with people you'll never see again. Intimate gatherings let you be still. They let you sink into conversation instead of skimming its surface. They let you show up as yourself, not as the version of you that's palatable to strangers. Your body has learned that real nourishment doesn't come from being around lots of people. It comes from being truly seen by a few. While others collect memories of crowded rooms and group photos, you collect moments of quiet laughter, long conversations that lose track of time, and the kind of silence that feels comfortable instead of awkward. You're not missing out. You're choosing depth over breadth. And in a world obsessed with how many people you know, that's a radical form of self-respect. Your superpower isn't in thriving at every party. It's in knowing which spaces are worthy of your presence and protecting your energy for the ones that are. How your hands open more slowly, but with firmness, for those who truly matter. You don't offer help, affection, or support casually. When someone asks for a favor, your first instinct isn't to immediately say yes. There's a pause, a moment where your body checks in with itself, asking, is this person worth my energy? Have they earned this from me? It's not cruelty, it's caution. Your hands have learned not to reach out for everyone who passes by, because not everyone who asks for help actually values what you give. But for the people you love, the ones who've stayed, who've shown up, who've proven their place in your life, your hands open differently, slowly, yes, but with absolute certainty. When you finally decide to help someone you care about, you don't do it halfway. You don't offer surface-level gestures or performative kindness. You show up fully. You give your time, your attention, your effort, not because you have to, but because you've chosen to. This selectivity confuses people who expect instant generosity from everyone. They interpret your hesitation as coldness. But the ones who receive your support know the truth. What you give is real, solid, and lasting. You're not stingy with your care. You're just careful about where you plant it, because you know it's precious and finite. Most people scatter their generosity everywhere, watering 100 shallow roots. You water a few deep ones. And the people who receive that kind of attention, consistent, intentional, unhurried, they grow differently. They know they're not just another name on your list. Your hands don't rush to hold everyone. But the ones they hold tightly. Your superpower isn't in being open to everyone. It's in the weight and steadiness of what you offer to the ones you choose. The natural protection your heart gains by nurturing deep, selective bonds. You've probably noticed that your heart doesn't break as easily as other people's seem to. Not because you're cold or detached, but because you don't hand it out to just anyone. You don't fall into quick friendships that evaporate after a few months. You don't invest deeply in people who haven't proven they'll stay. This carefulness isn't fear, it's strategy. Your heart has learned that shallow connections offer shallow protection, and when they fall apart, they leave you emptier than before. So you wait, you watch. You let people show you who they are before you decide how close to let them come. And because of this, the bonds you do form are different. They're not fragile. They don't collapse the first time there's conflict or distance or misunderstanding. They bend, they stretch, but they hold. When you lose someone from your inner circle through distance, through change, through life, it hurts deeply. But it doesn't shatter you, because the foundation was real. The time you spent together wasn't wasted. The love was earned, not assumed. People who form 100 surface connections spend their lives patching up small disappointments. You have fewer wounds, but you know how to tend to the ones that matter. This kind of heart guarded, yes, but not closed, is rare. It doesn't give itself away for the thrill of being wanted. It waits to be chosen by people who understand what they're receiving. En d'une retour, it receives something most people never experience: the safety of knowing that the people you love actually see you, not just the idea of you. Your superpower isn't in loving everyone. It's in building a circle so strong that even when the world gets loud and chaotic, your heart remains steady. If this explanation made something clearer about your way of being, comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this community of self-awareness. how your mind transforms few friendships into endless sources of inner strength. You don't need a crowd to feel supported. You don't need constant validation from dozens of people to know you're valued. What you have is something quieter, but infinitely more powerful. A handful of relationships that function like roots deep, steady, and impossible to uproot. When life gets heavy, you don't post about it publicly or reach out to a long list of acquaintances. You go to one person, maybe two. The ones who already know your story, who don't need context or explanation. And somehow, that's enough, more than enough. Your mind has learned to draw strength not from quantity, but from quality. One conversation with a real friend can recalibrate your entire week. One message from someone who truly knows you can remind you of who you are when you've forgotten. This isn't dependency, it's depth. You've built friendships that don't just comfort you, they ground you. They reflect back the parts of yourself you sometimes lose sight of. While others are constantly seeking new connections to fill a void, you're quietly sustained by the ones you've already nurtured. You don't need more. You need the right ones, and you found them. There's a kind of confidence that comes from knowing you have people who will show up not because they're obligated, but because they genuinely care. It makes you braver. It makes you more willing to take risks, to be honest, to fail, because you know you won't face it alone. Your small circle isn't a limitation. It's a foundation, and from that foundation you can build anything. Your superpower isn't in having endless friends. It's in knowing that the few you have could hold you up through anything. The hidden superpower of building eternal connections that the noisy world envies. While everyone else is busy collecting followers, contacts, and party invitations, you're quietly building something they'll never understand. Friendships that last decades, bonds that survive distance, silence, and change. Connections so deep that even years apart can't weaken them. You don't talk to your closest friends every day. Sometimes weeks pass, sometimes months. But when you reconnect, it's like no time has passed at all. You pick up exactly where you left off. This isn't luck. It's the natural result of choosing quality over quantity from the very beginning. People with hundreds of shallow friendships eventually realize something painful. When life gets truly difficult, most of those people disappear. They were there for the good times, the parties, the easy moments, but not for the hard ones. You've never had that illusion. You've always known that real friendship isn't about who shows up when things are fun. It's about who stays when things get complicated, messy, or boring. And because you've chosen carefully, the people in your life have passed that test without even knowing it was happening. They've proven their loyalty not through grand gestures, but through consistency, patience, and quiet presence. There's something the loud, crowded world doesn't want to admit. They envy what you have. They see your small circle and assume you're lonely, but you're not. You're rich in the one currency that actually matters: relationships that don't break. Years from now, when trends have changed and social circles have scattered, you'll still have the same people by your side. Not because you forced it, but because you built something unshakable from the start. Your superpower was never in how many people know your name. It's in how deeply a few people know your heart and how fiercely they protect it. If you've recognized yourself in these small patterns, the way your body protects its energy, the way your gaze deepens only for certain people, the way your heart guards itself until someone proves they're worthy, then you've just uncovered something most people spend their entire lives overlooking. This isn't about being antisocial, difficult, or broken. This is about operating from a different blueprint, one that values depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and real presence over empty proximity. The world will try to convince you that something is wrong with you for not wanting more friends, bigger circles, louder celebrations, but your body already knows the truth. You weren't built for shallow. You were built for lasting. And the people who've made it into your small, carefully guarded circle, they know they've been given something rare. They feel the difference between being one of many and being one of few. They understand that your selective love isn't a limitation, it's a gift. So if you've ever felt strange, too quiet, or somehow not enough because you prefer to deep friendships over 20 surface ones, let this be your permission to stop apologizing for it. You're not missing out. You're living differently, and that difference is your quiet superpower. Has this kind of behavior caught your attention in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your way of being, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at everyday habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.